Okay, this is Coffee with Carla, and today we have a very special guest. Her name is Michelle Maynor, and she's from Alaska Raceway Park in Palmer, Alaska. Hi, Michelle.
Yep. Hi.
You got something to drink?
I do. I have my tea. It says this coffee is making me awesome. So
Oh,
one of my
perfect.
favorite cups.
Well, before we start talking about the racetrack, let's talk about you. Were you born and raised in Alaska?
No, actually, originally we're from Wisconsin. We were farmers, and we came up here in the 80s to start a farming project that they were doing out at Point McKenzie, which is a little area the state set aside for agriculture. And so we were hired to come on and manage that farm for the doctor that had purchased it. And so we did that for a couple of years and then got out of that. My dad was a heavy equipment salesman for Yukon Equipment, which sells case products, and then my mom taught school, and so we were grew up that way, and then ended up at the racetrack.
Was it a race? Well, you guys took it over?
It was actually next year we'll be celebrating 60 years. Right? So we opened Labor Day weekend in 1964, and it's been in continuous operation ever since. Predominantly has always been a drag strip, and then in 2016 we added our NASCAR ovals. So we're the only high banked paved oval track in the state.
Wow. Are there very many racetracks?
No. We're the only drag strip. We're the only high bank paved oval. There is a very small asphalt track in North Pole, a dirt track in Fairbanks, a dirt track in Willow, and a dirt track in Kenai.
Wow.
Which are all way far away.
So how far from the largest town, and which town is that?
So we are about 45 minutes north of Anchorage, which is kind of the largest town in the city center. Like if you fly up here to visit, that's what you'll fly into. But we're really close to the military base. I mean, 45 minutes is not really that much. So we're close to a lot of things. And then we are in Palmer, which is part of the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. And the valley is actually growing quite a bit. A lot of people are moving out from town. And so we have quite a few people that are in the Wasilla-Palmer Big Lake area that come out.
Wow. So is the population growing from the lower states?
Not really. I mean, the economy is a little bit hard right now for everybody, everywhere, and a lot of people are going places that are warmer. I would love to go someplace warmer sometimes, but and we have a pretty large military base background. I don't even know the word, contingent, I guess. And so, those people are like coming in and going out a lot. But a lot of the guys that end up getting, they get stationed up here and then they end up falling in love with Alaska and they stay here. So that's kind of cool.
That is really cool to have them. For the guys and gals that are from, not from there, having something as far as racing to either have love or learn here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's always one of the challenges for us as far as marketing goes, is trying to reach those people in, the guys and the gals that are stationed up here. They're new, they're from someplace else where there was racing, and how do we get into there to touch them and to reach them and let them know that this is an opportunity for them. And it's been growing. Our involvement with the military has been growing quite a bit the past couple of years, and it's been kind of neat to have all the kids, I call them kids, but to have them come out and race and have a good time and come do drag racing or whatever here at our track where it's safe versus on the streets.
I would imagine with your weather, both tracks season the same.
Yeah, we actually we're gonna open next weekend, provided that the S word keeps away from us, because it did snow here yesterday. But we will open on the 13th at the oval track and the 14th at the drag strip, and then we run through Labor Day weekend. Have one kind of little street event after Labor Day, but that's our season.
Well, that's really not that much different from us here in the Northwest, where we don't have so much S word, we have the R word.
Yeah. We got
But
plenty of that last year too.
yeah, but you're busy from what I've watched on Facebook. You guys are busy year round. You're doing car shows and you're doing marketing events and
Yeah, it's funny. We're a seasonal business, and everybody's always like, "Well, what do you do in the off season?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I just like kick back and eat bonbons and whatever." But there's a lot of stuff to get done. Like you don't just show up next week and everything is there. We spend a lot of time going out and thanking our sponsors and telling them about the season and thanking our racers. We have a big banquet in October. And then it's kind of travel season for me, and I end up going to a lot of the promoters workshops. So I go to WARPA and the RPM conference in Reno. We go to PRI, and so we're pretty actively involved in that because we are the only track here, and so in order for me to make this grow and be more awesome, I have to learn how to do that, and I can't do that where I'm at. And so I spend a lot of time going out and networking with people. I get to see you and a lot of other people, but it's important for us to keep spreading the word about the racetrack and keep people involved and keep things going on our Facebook page and just trying to keep making it better.
well, how cool would it be to have a weekend off, to just book a flight, go up to Anchorage, watch your race on, watch the drag race, watch the people. You get very many people. Have you heard of it? Make that a destination for a weekend away.
It's actually growing quite a bit now that last year we made a connection with 1320 Video. They came up here and we threw together this like impromptu car show with our partners Rev Alaska, and we packed the oval track with hot rods and race cars and motorcycles and everything that you could think of. We just filled the track up and had so many people out at there, and they did a video and put it out on social and kind of spread it out, and so a lot of people are seeing our stuff and are definitely making it a bucket list attraction. And so we're actually getting some people. We started a program or a race called Speed Week. So Alaska Speed Week will be this summer, and it's a drag and drive event. So it's like a lot of the events that they're doing. We're actually partnered with Sick the magazine to kind of put this together. And what it is you come out and you race at the drag strip on Sunday the 11th, and then you have to take that, whatever your race car is, you have to drive that to Fairbanks and North Pole, which is 350 miles away. We're going to do a little car show up there because we couldn't secure a place to race because we are the only track. Then you're going to drive over to Tanacross and Tok. We're going to race on an abandoned airstrip out there, and then cruise back and race at our track that Friday. And so the people who come up will get to see the racing. We have NASCAR and NHRA racing both weekends that kind of surround Speed Week. So they'll get to see all that. Plus you'll get to go on the drive and see the entire state in a hot rod or in whatever. I had a gentleman ask, well, can we drive just like a non-cool car? And I was like, sure, come up, rent a car, whatever you have, it's going to be cool anyway. So we're putting that together, and we've actually had a gentleman is coming from Key West, Florida. We've got another guy coming from Texas, and somebody else is driving up from Utah to be part of that so far. So it's pretty kind of neat.
It's really neat. What are the
The dates are June 11th through the 16th. We're kind of we have the Tundra Tour, which is the group that will follow along, and the Tundra Tour is kind of neat because you get admission tickets to the events at the racetrack. So 2 NASCAR races and 2 NHRA races, plus all the stuff for Speed Week. And then when you get to Fairbanks, we have little coupons so that they can go in and see the Fountainhead Antique Auto Museum, which is this whole huge warehouse, and it has all of these cars in it that are, I think 1920s, very old vehicles. They all run. All of them are operational. They've got like displays with all the stuff, and they're all like Alaskan vehicles. And it's just kind of a neat thing if you're into cars.
That's very, very cool. I bet you have a lot of families that participate in at least coming out to the racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we do have a ton of families. We've got a lot of like second and third and fourth generation racers out there, and it's just kind of neat. I call it the track family, and I know that you know about that, but because we are an island up here, like we don't have racers that come from all over the place often, and so we're here and we're kind of helping each other grow, and I've got racers that have watched me grow up, and they've watched my daughter grow up, and we're just all this one big family up here, and it's super rad.
So do you get anybody from NH, I would say NHL, from the drag group or the NASCAR group come up?
We've had a couple drivers. Actually, Bobby Roos from Alabama. He has a car up here, a late model, and so he periodically will bring drivers up. So Perry Patino came up and raced once here. Jordan Anderson came and raced. And I was really happy to see that he got a first place trophy their team did the other day, because he said the trophy he got at our track was the last first place trophy that he's gotten in a really, really long time. So he's been up here. We've had Kenny Schrader came up, and he raced and also visited. So he crossed Alaska off of his list of states that he's raced in, and so yeah, we get a lot of people that want to come and just check it out. We've got some NHRA drivers have stopped in, and it's definitely a destination for a lot of people.
How fun. Do you enjoy it? Is this your passion?
This is my passion. Running a racetrack is not an easy task by any means, and my office is, it's not too bad. I'll just sit up big so you can't see it, but it's a lot of work, and we are weather dependent, so that makes it, like, we're supposed to open next week, and we just melted, like all the snow just melted off the track. So it's going to be a cold opening, but we should be able to do it. But it's, we have rain in the seasons, and last year it rained the whole second half of the season, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that, and so we're trying to run the business the best that we can, but still keep growing and making sure that at the end of the day we've got a little bit in the bank so that we can get through winter and start all over again in the summer.
Yeah. On the track, that's extreme cold or having cold, do you have to do anything to prep the track for winter, or do you have to do anything to get ready for summer?
We don't do any, we don't let anybody drive on the race surfaces in the wintertime. We're fortunate that the track was built in a riverbed, and so it has a lot of river rock underneath it. It's pretty solidly compacted. We haven't, knock on wood, had any issues with earthquakes or any of that sort of stuff, cracking or breaking anything. But we might be a little over cautious about letting people drive on it in the winter, but I'm the one who's got to foot the bill to pay for the asphalt if it gets ruined. So we're trying to keep it as nice as possible, and so far it's been doing really well.
So would you say your biggest challenge running a racetrack in Alaska?
There's a lot of challenges, I guess, that we have that other racetracks have. I think probably one of the biggest things for us is like logistics of things. I'm waiting for my tires, which have shipped and will be here sometime next week. Hopefully, a couple days before race day would be great. But as long as they get here, I'm okay with that. But we have American Racer tires for our late models and our stock classes and baby grands, and so I ordered those, and Nick over at South Sound has been fantastic dealing with me.
Yeah.
But then we had to order Legend tires, so those come from NX in North Carolina, and so I had to coordinate getting those to Nick so that they could all come up in the same container, and how's that container going to get here, and those are things I think a lot of other people don't have to deal with. Like people don't ship stuff to Alaska because we're not in the contiguous United States or whatever, and so getting things to my freight company so that we can get it up here on the boat, or that's probably one of my biggest headaches, is just the logistics of all of that stuff. And stuff doesn't get here quick, everything takes a while, so we try to do what we can to make sure that it all gets here on time, but you just got to deal with it.
Do you have the same people work for the circle track as you do for the Fisker?
I do have a core group of employees that work both sides, and then we've got some people that only work one side or the other, because we give everybody, and their families get to come into the track, and so if they're really into watching drag racing, they'll work at the oval track, so then they get to come watch the drag races for free, or vice versa. Or I've got one family, they really love the NASCAR races, and so she works at the front gate, the early shift, so when she gets off, then she can just go watch the races with her family, and they all have a great time. And so it's we do have a lot of people that work both, but we have a lot of people that only work one too.
But making it work for them. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about classes, how many classes do you have? Like for the circle track?
We have 6 classes that run regularly. So we have our late models. We have a Thunderstock class. We added Bomber Stock a couple years ago. We have Baby Grands, and then in the NX divisions we have the Legends, and then we added Bandoleros 2 seasons ago. So this will be the 3rd year with kids.
All right. How about open wheels or midget?
We have a couple sprints that come and race. Occasionally we're going to do a sprint shootout in August, but most of the sprint drivers up here run on the dirt, and so we haven't really got that yet. But we did get to see your midgets while we were down there in Washington, and oh my gosh, those are so fun. So if you come up, we might have to throw a couple in a trailer or something. I would like them just so that I'll come play with them.
Well, it was really cool to see you at Wenatchee with some of your crew from the track, and you told me you do that so you can learn, see what other people do and learn from it.
Yeah, it's we wanted to come down and see Wyatt race because he does such a good job, and it worked out with our season that I was able to pop down. But I always enjoy going to other racetracks, and I did a little reel with my pictures of stuff, and the tire that you use to tie down your tent is one of the things I took a picture of. But I always like to go and visit and kind of see what other people are doing and how we can bring those things back and make it work. They have a 10-lap rule at Wenatchee where, if it gets into the 10 laps, and I'm pretty sure it's, if there's a caution with 10 laps to go, then all of the lap traffic has to get off the track. And I was like, wow, that's kind of genius, because I know how it goes when there's only 10 laps left and they have a caution and everybody's balls out for whatever, so we're probably adopting that. And they have that line that like the blend line where they're I was like, ooh, I like that too. So I pick up a lot of things, and then I always like to put out some ideas so that other people can look at it and share it too.
Yeah. Well, with the digits, we use whatever the track is. We travel to 15 different tracks, and each track does it differently. Most of them are 5 laps. Just in the last 5 laps, do they remain in fine, or do they? And it's funny because the racers like both. I mean, obviously, the racing in the front, you've got lap cars, and our friend, she's always had the belief that if those cars had to pass the lap cars, the guy in second or third has to do the same thing. So that's a track that we go through daily.
Yeah, I can kind of see the pros and cons both ways, but especially our Legends class this year, I think we're up to 30 plus cars. I'm not going to have them all on the track at the same time. But if, we get down to that end of the race, I was like, because a lot of accidents happen in those last 10 laps.
Yeah.
And we try to minimize that. We can't just go get parts from anywhere. Like, we've got a dealer and he has some stuff, but we don't always have everything. And so we've got our races kind of spread out a little bit. They're, for the most part, every other week except for the 2 in June, because that way the guys, if something happens, they've got some time to fix their stuff and they're not, overnighting parts up here, or because that gets really, really expensive.
Trying to keep it as economic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to Alaska, but I hear about this daylight thing happening. How does that work with your season?
It's perfect because I don't have to have lights at my track. We got to watch the races under the lights in Wenatchee, and we don't have that. So we are actually in the part where we won't have actual darkness, like dark. I don't know. They have a definition for, I'm all air quoting everything, but they have a definition for what like dark is. And now that we're past, I think we've got 16 hours of actual daylight right now. But the night is more like dusk most of the time. Like it doesn't get like dark. And it'll be like that. We're still gaining daylight. We'll gain until June 21st. And then after June, we'll start losing daylight a little. But as long as we run the races efficiently, we can get through the last weekend without having any problems with the darkness. But we have had to cancel races at some point because it's just too dark to run anymore.
Right. So you don't really have
we do have a curfew. The borough's got a curfew on racetracks for 10 p.m. And so we try to be done. Like, I plan my program to finish around 9. And 3 hours really is a good program for anything. Like, your fans are not going to hang out all day for the most part. So we try to get done by 9 so that way the guys can load up their stuff and we're not going to hit that curfew. But sometimes it goes a little bit later. We have wrecks or whatever, and so we try to get done by 9:30. I think I've run almost up to 10 o'clock before, but I was stressing. My employees are like, I know Michelle's like up there chomping at the bit right now. So
no fireworks.
No fireworks shows. We could do that, but I'd have to get like special permits and stuff, and so we just haven't really got that far.
Yeah. Where do you see you in about 5 years?
Hopefully I'll have more of these processes figured out. I'm trying to really work on the processes and trying to get procedures down and focus on employee growth and helping. I've got a lot of people that are willing to get tasks that are delegated to them, and so I'm working on myself learning how to do that. I mean, you're transitioning too, so my long-term goal is that I want to get the track as self-sufficient as possible, and so that I not that I'm going to be replaced or replacing me or anything, but I want to make sure that the track runs without me, and so that I can, if you come up to watch a race, I can actually have 5 minutes to sit and have a coffee with you in the stands, or I can talk to sponsors when they come in or whatever. But I just want to, maybe I'll get to go watch the Indy 500 someday. Wouldn't that be cool? But I can't do that right now because we always race then. So I don't want to not be at my track, but I want to make sure that if I am, it doesn't fall apart. And I know it won't, because the guys will do a great job. They do a fantastic job already, but it definitely changes things when not just me, but when anybody who's part of the core isn't there. It's difficult, and everybody's trying to pick up the slack. And so I want to make sure that everybody is very confident in what they're doing and that we can put on a great show. And if I am lucky enough to get to go watch the 500, then that's cool. But I want to make sure that it's going and it continues to grow. I've got a lot of growth plans. I'm working with Tim Frost. I don't know if you know Tim. He does the Speedway directory. He's working with me on a economic impact survey and a feasibility study, because I've got a lot of ideas up here that I want to turn into stuff on the track, but I need to figure out the plan and the process and what it's going to look like so that we're growing efficiently and that I can pay for all this stuff and there's some ROI.
Right. Well, it's great to hear about the procedure and the practices you do, because that just leads to consistency. And I think as racers, that's one thing that they want. They want to have those rules and force. They want to be able to how things happen on a race day or on a race day especially. And then to hear about things that you have up here, giving you that time to be able to implement those. And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some pretty big plans. We're just under 200 acres out here, and so we've got lots of room for growth. I'd like to put in a couple like car condo places, so if you came up, I would have some place where you could stay, and you could wake up and look at Pioneer Peak just like I get to do every day, and and we'd have some places. We've got a lot of guys that travel from Fairbanks, which is about a 6-hour drive. And we've got guys that come up from Kenai and Homer, and that's, 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, wherever they're from. And so I'm trying to make sure that the guys have what they need here, whether it's place for their RV or if we build a condo and they want to just leave the race car here or whatever. That we have that and we make it as easy for them to come and race as possible, because it is an expensive hobby, and you're lucky when at the end of the day if you get enough money to cover your expenses for tires even, sometimes it's not even that, but I want to try to help them as much as I can, because we all, the four little, I call them my refs, the people that I need to that I'm accountable to. So my racers, my employees, my fans, and my sponsors. I want to make sure that everybody's needs are getting met as much as possible, because that's how we're going to make this better.
Right. So on racers, are you always looking to get people involved, or is it more word of mouth?
Sorry, it cut out just a little bit. So
for the car counts, the interest in starting to race.
So for that, it's kind of more word of mouth. Like, I'm not out there actively recruiting racers, but we have a lot of the racers actually recruit more racers. You'll come out and they'll be like, hey, you want to hop in and take my car for a couple laps? And once you get somebody in a car, whether it's going around the track or going straight down the track, people are all in, and so we've got a lot of that. We added the bandos, and we have a very large junior dragster class, so we're growing our racers that way, which is cool. One of our bandos has already moved into Legends. I imagine that Wyatt will be in a bigger car as soon as he is 14. We're growing it that way, but a lot of it is just word of mouth from the racers, and trying to find those people who maybe they used to do this when they were growing up, or whatever, where they came out with their parents and now they want to try it. So that's what's helping grow it. But we don't have a whole lot of like traveling racers, I guess.
Right. Well, and that's what when you mentioned that, it made me think of. Let me think of something. But anyway, talking about the sponsors, the racers, and your employees. Talking about that, you do a lot of promoting on social media, on the website, and then you do a which is really cool. How'd that come about?
Well, that was actually I flew down we switched from IHRA to NHRA in 2019. So in 2020 they had the NHRA Division 6 banquet. That was in January. That was my first kind of thing with that. And so while I was down there, I took the test. The guys were like convinced me that I should take the test to get my tech inspector card. And I was like, I don't I'm not going to be tech inspecting, but I know how to read a rule book, right? And so I took the test and I got all my stuff, and then they were telling us about, upgrades for belts and chassis and whatever. And so when I came back, I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to just get online on Tuesday and tell everybody what we talked about. So it started as tech talk, but then that requires a lot of research and spending time, and I'm not the tech inspector. So so I did that first tech talk, and then it kind of evolved into track talk. And of course 2020, the crap hit the fan, and we didn't know if we were going to be racing, and I didn't know if I was going to see any of my family, and so we kept weekly updates about what the track was doing and how we were going through the process to open up. And my parents are in their 80s, and so I do updates about them and our family. And when I travel, I end up doing they're probably good, but I feel like they're really crappy when I do them on the road. But people like to see what we're doing, But it's just a good way to touch base with everybody and keep them involved in the family, keep me involved with what they're doing. People get in there and they comment on stuff, and we get the word out about whatever's coming up, about just whatever, the weekly stuff, and talk about our people that are racing everywhere, and just everything. And it's just, seasonal. So what do you post about in the wintertime, right? And you can't post the same stuff, and so we try to just keep people in the loop and keep them involved and building cars and being super fans and everything like that.
I like that, super fan.
Yeah.
So what's are you on?
We are Facebook and Instagram mostly. We do have a Twitter account, but Twitter's weird. I don't know. It's not my favorite platform. We have LinkedIn, and that's where I do a lot of my business posting stuff. We don't have TikTok or whatever. That's just the more stuff you do, the more spread out you get. And so we're trying to consolidate and mostly just focus on the Facebook and Instagram. But we do have a YouTube channel as well, which all of my my track talks are broadcast live on Facebook and at YouTube, and we're working on building that up. The thing with YouTube is you got to have content, right? And so we've got a lot of pictures and stuff, but we don't have the whole video stuff. So we're working on that. Social media is always a work in progress.
It is, and it does take a lot, but it keeps everybody engaged, and that's what's so great about it.
Yeah, it definitely keeps people in the loop, and I think that's helped us out a lot with this. We are a NASCAR sanctioned track, so we're in the Advance My Track Challenge, which is a challenge that this is the third year that they've done it, and it's really kind of an engagement challenge, because you are asking people to vote for your track for 3 times a day, and you can do it boom, boom, boom. But 3 times a day, every day for over a month, right? And then you get into the top 5, and then we have a week to vote. And so it's really important that people vote for you every day for that week, because the winner gets $50,000 to do improvements at the track, which is a lot of asphalt. So
It is.
it's a lot. And we did 3rd place the first year and 2nd place the second year. So this year, I think, is pretty much our year, right?
Wow.
And it's the top 5 should be announced on Monday, and then voting for the number 1 spot starts on Tuesday. And so we're super impressed just to make it into the top 5 or 6, because we are a small track in a very large state with the population of the state is 700,000. So a lot of the tracks that I'm competing with, like New Smyrna and Evergreen, a lot of those tracks have got so much more people in their general vicinity than we have in the whole state. So it's really about connecting people. And I told you at the beginning, I'm kind of an open book. I pretty much let everybody know the state of affairs all the time, because it's my track. I sign the checks, I pay the bills, I do all the stuff, but it's our playground, you know. And sorry, it makes me all like,
You could
so
do it alone.
it's our playground, and it's, you know, I'm providing the space for these people to come out and to be their weekend warriors or to do the family stuff. And sorry, gosh. If I could ever get through an interview without crying, it'd be great. But it's yeah, and it how do people vote? You go to advancemytrack.com, and there's a super rad little 2-minute video that we put on there that talks about our track, and there's a whole lot of footage of, you know, race cars going in the mountains and stuff. But so you go to Advance My Track, and you can do it 3 times a day, and literally once you do it the first time, it takes probably 30 seconds to do because it remembers all of your stuff, and you just vote. But everybody is making this happen. You know, we built the safety wall at the drag strip last year, and it was a joint effort. You know, it was, everybody was pitching in. We did some fundraising for it, and people donated to that, and we made it happen, and we made it safer for everybody out there. And so, sorry.
When you win, $50,000, is that what you do for resurface?
So our oval track is going to be 8 years old this year, so it's pretty new. $50,000 is not enough to resurface the drag strip, but it is what we're gonna put in some motorcycle parking. Right now, I realized, and this was, do you know Greg McCarnes from Wisconsin? He was so. He goes to the RPM conferences, and so he does this little video show with all the stuff that he sees at different tracks. And so he had this video, and there's a little, one place they have a little strip of, like, I think it's concrete or whatever, but so when the guys come out with their bikes, because our parking lot is all dirt, they have a place to put the kickstands, and so more of the motorcycle guys can come out. So I'm going to build one of those on each side of the track so that the guys can ride their bikes out and enjoy the races. We did some paving the first year for our for accessibility, so that you could, you know, take a wheelchair or a cane or whatever all the way from the entrance to the stands, and you wouldn't have to walk in the rocks, because that's kind of a pain in the butt. And the more I pave, the more I want to pave, because it's just so much nicer. And so we're going to do some more accessibility stuff, and then we need more space in the pits. So we've got a plan to kind of add in probably another 30 spots, so that the guys will have, you know, asphalt places to park. But it's just trying to make things better for everybody that comes out.
Wow. Well, I didn't. You know what the tears are from the joy that you get by doing what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely love what I do, and I love all the people that I get to do it with, and I'm really excited that race season's next week, because I get to start hanging out with people and, you know, having a beer after work in the pits, and hanging out with my employees that are more like family than people I work with. So it's I can't wait.
Well, Michelle, is there anything else you want to say right now? You want to say thank you to some sponsors?
Oh my gosh, we have so many people to thank. It's awesome. I've got, like, there's just so many. So I can't thank everybody, so I'm not going to thank anybody because I'm going to miss somebody. But we have an incredible group of sponsors that are really involved with the track. I mean, all of our user groups are super involved. I get a lot of ideas from our fans that go and travel to other racetracks too, and they bring back stuff. We have a Legends race that we're going to do this summer. That one, our super fan Tim, he was the original super fan. He saw this race in Wisconsin, and he's like, you should do something like this. And so we're going to do that in July. So I just can't thank, like, everybody enough for believing in me to make this happen, and for being part of it. And, you know, even, you know, being here with you is awesome, and you've given me a lot of advice over the years, and it's been really cool to be part of it. And I love that our track family is, like, worldwide, you know. It's not just here or just down in Washington or whatever, it's everywhere. So
That's right.
Thanks.
Well, Michelle, you are a true friend, and you are a BL, boss lady.
Yep.
And thank you for sharing some time with us, having us in our coffee. And it was such a surprise to see you, which was wonderful. I wish we had had more time, but we'll do it again. And definitely, your track is on our bucket list. We just retired, so we're gonna
I
have to
know.
again.
Yep,
Thank
and
you.
I'd love to get feedback on what we're doing up here. So,
Okay, well, we'll make that a date.
yes.
Okay, you take
Awesome.
care. Michelle Maynor
All
from
right.
Alaska Raceway Park. Thank you for joining
Yep.
us. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.